Hey guys, welcome to another Homelab Series video today. In today's video, we'll be showing you how you can self-host enclosed, which allows you to essentially send private or secure notes where you can password define it. So when you send them the link, it will essentially be prompting for a password. You can also set an expiration date or just have it self-destruct after it has been read so that no one else can read it. This might be a really fun use case for you if you're like just playing around with friends, or you need to send something to someone securely, but you don't want anyone else to be able to access it, so that you can just password protect or just put a time limit on how many people can access it during a specific time period. So we'll get started by showing you how you can create it and set it up in your home lab. Alright, so first thing to do, we will be creating a DNS entry for this, so that essentially you can resolve the DNS internally in your own home lab. But this also can pertain to if you're making this a public server. You would just update, Route 53, Cloudflare, whatever your DNS hosting service is. In this case, I'm using Bind. So I'm just using Bind internally, and I am using a GitLab pipeline to essentially deploy out this configuration to my server, deploy and restart my service so that it picks up the new configuration. So it's a lot of fun, cool automation things to make it simpler without having to be needing to log into a server. So we'll set enclosed with the IP of 116, and we will commit that. So add enclosed. The next thing that we'll do here is also update another GitLab repository that we have. It is my Ansible playbooks repository. So we'll be adding enclosed to our inventory file. The inventory file is kind of like your defined host that Ansible can hit. So we use that to essentially provision our server. So it'll provision our server and set up, anything else afterwards. So you can see we have like creating the VM, we have installing Docker, patching and whatnot. So we essentially have automated it so that everything is more or less ready, pending, the last portion of the configuration that is essentially setting up the software. So now that I have committed that, what we can do is go to our AWX instance. This is very similar to like Ansible Tower or Ansible Automation Platform. If you use that from Red Hat, this is the open source version of it essentially. And what I have here is a few job templates that I created into a workflow job template so that I can create the VM, patch it, install Docker and Docker Compose, which we'll be needing for this, create the cert based off of the DNS name, and set up Nginx with the new cert so that I have TLS enabled on this. So what we do is launch template. We will create the host called enclosed. The IP will be the one that we set up in it, which I think was 116, but let's just double check here real quick. Add enclosed, look at the commit, and it was 116. Yep. The VM name is just what it will show up in vCenter, so this can be anything in my home lab. And then the proxy address, so what we want to do is actually look up enclosed GitHub and check out essentially how we will set this up. So in this case, I believe if we look at it, we can use Docker essentially here. So they have a Docker command, which will essentially listen on 8787. So we'll just do HTTP localhost 8787. We'll hit next and launch. So from here, as I was stating, these are all just job templates. This is just a workflow that will run each job template sequentially after the previous one succeeds. So it'll create a VM using my using VMware, patch that VM, install Docker and Docker Compose, set up the certificate on my Steps CA server, copy it over, and set up Nginx with that cert. So this just takes a few minutes to run, but once this is finished, we will show you what the rest of the configuration looks like. Alright, now that it has finished, what we can do is SSH into the machine. So root at enclosed.dragon.local. We'll accept the host key, we'll log in, and we can see now that we got a essentially terminal session, we can see that Docker is installed. So we'll go back to the documentation here real quick, and we will try it out with Docker. So we'll copy that command, and we'll just create a simple script in here that will just run the command. But I like it so that you don't have to ever look back at the GitHub if you ever need to, or find it back in history if you ever need to run it again. So we will save that. We'll make sure that script is executable, and then we'll run it. So essentially it will now pull the Docker container. It's a pretty small Docker container, nothing too fancy. It's a very minimalistic, which is amazing. It just does what it needs to do. So from here, now that it is running, what we can do is go to the site. So enclose.dragon.local. And there's a few things that you can do. They actually have a light and dark mode, so you can change it. So you can see here, you can type your note here. You can also attach files. So this is a very secret, whatever note you want to send. You can set a password and expiration delay. So you can set it so that it expires after 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 1 hour. And you can set whether or not you want this to be deleted after reading. So let's say, for example, we have a note, and we'll just type the password secret. So we'll create the note, and you can see that there is a link now. So this is the link that you can share with your friends or whoever, and we'll just paste it in here. So you can see in here it is password protected, so I need to enter a password to unlock it. So secret was the password, so you can see that the note outputs here. This is very secret, which is what we put in. And you can copy the clipboard to copy the contents if you want. And then you'll notice if I reload the page with the same thing, it will essentially say this note does not exist anymore, has expired, or has been deleted. So because I set the delete after reading, it essentially doesn't exist anymore. So that's a really cool way if you want to share, some notes across your friends, or do, some things essentially that is more secure and private without just giving access of a note publicly. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.